Museum.
Hi. I was hoping to just get a little bit of information briefly about how the Civil War started, just because I'm nervous about the upcoming Civil War and wondering what the red flags are to look out for.
Okay. So what are you interested in knowing?
Like how the Civil War started.
Well, the Civil War was really about slavery because the North wanted to free the slaves and the South didn't want them to be freed.
Okay. So, I guess.
So when Lincoln got elected, they looked at, because he was a Republican and he was from the North or sided with the North, the South felt that they were going to, their rights were going to be impeded and decided to secede from the Union. And Lincoln said, we're not going to let you do that.
Mhm. Okay. So, in your sort of expert opinion, do you see any signs that there's going to be a Civil War too?
Now,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, there obviously are factions on both extremes that want to agitate, but I think this country is built differently than it was back then. There's a lot more rule of law today than there was back then, so I think both sides don't want to have a civil war. I think the press obviously feels that it benefits them to promote that because more people read newspapers and watch TV if they say it's going to happen. So,
Okay.
I mean, I think we're still voting, we're still electing people, we're still have democratic processes. I personally, I don't see a civil war happening. There may be issues. We've had riots over the summer. We've had riots in D.C. on both sides doing things. So, but eventually, it's not to the point of. I think one of the things is look at history between now and when the Civil War was. There's been a lot of unrest throughout the years. During the Vietnam era, there was a lot of unrest. There was riots on college campuses. Nixon sent out the National Guard to quell the riots. In the 50s and 60s, there were race riots between blacks and whites. In the 30s and 20s, when alcohol was outlawed, there was all kinds of illegality going on with people making illegal moonshine and things like that. So we've weathered all of those things in the past. A lot of people think this is a very unique situation, but our country has always been very diverse, and we've always had different sides. So I think if you look at history, it tends to, we eventually work together. And that's where it all has to come down. We have to stop listening to the extremists on both sides and the people in the middle that don't want war, don't want civil unrest, work together to correct things. So I think we'll be there. We're going to weather through times. There's no question of that. And there's going to be ups and downs on both sides, but just don't pay attention to one side. Really look at history and see what has happened over the years.
Okay. But hypothetically, if there was going to be a Civil War, what kind of gun should I buy?
I don't recommend buying a gun.
Okay. Interesting take. I guess. I think people are also too lazy now to do war, right? That gives me kind of a lot of hope.
Possibly. I think a lot of people rely on other people to take care of. Part of it is we rely on the government to take care of us, and we expect that the government will work its way out, figure this out between them. And it's a pendulum. It swings both ways. We go very liberal at times, and we go very conservative at times. And there has to be conversation. That's where it all starts. We have to agree to work together. And to me, that's the best part of this country is that we do. we do have trying times, but we eventually work together and figure out a way to coexist on both sides of the aisle.
That's true, but it's also true that during the Civil War, they didn't have Twitter. And I feel like Twitter is the main driver of war right now.
Yeah, I mean, all communication, is not part of the problem. Is where people. There's all kinds of communication today, so it's much easier to get people to listen to one side or the other, both good and bad. And part of the problem is they're only listening to the negatives on both sides. It's the people in the middle, when they finally stand up and say enough is enough, we need to quell both sides of the issues and stop being, so diverse, so anti-everybody, and stop fighting amongst ourselves and work together to do things. And that's, there's enough voices out there that they're not listened to. The press, the media, the Twitters, the Facebooks, everything, it's all people that rail on one side or the other. And people just want to they want to fight the other guy. And when they stop worrying about what the other guy is saying and just figure out a way to work together, it will improve things. And it's up to you and me. It's up to us to decide that we're not going to listen to those people. We're not going to fight. We're going to work together and figure out a way to coexist.
Yeah, so the same way slavery was the big thing people were fighting about back then, what do you think the equivalent of that is today?
I don't know that there's any equivalent to slavery, because it was a complete, owning of another individual, where that's not done today. There's a lot of disparity today between wealth and poor, I don't think we're at the same point as where we are back then, because it was really individual states that were succeeding. Today, I don't think the states necessarily want to secede. I think they want to work together. It's how much influence they have over the other states. I mean, all topics, right now I think immigration is big. I think, the disparity between rich and poor is big. So it's all about figuring out ways to combat, the negativity of people's lives, and then figure out a way to make it better for everybody, without it being that, you have to take care of this, or you put it on one group of people. And I think that will happen. I think it's how people can figure out how to work together.
Okay. And so what are some concrete things people did to prepare for the Civil War? Because I'm just thinking about what I should do, if I should get a bunker, or buy one of those storage units maybe.
I mean, that seems extreme. I don't think. First off, I don't think Civil War is going to happen. I think I think we'll work together to do it, to prevent it from happening. Back then, it was a much different time. Most people didn't prepare for the Civil War. When it happened, the government said we need men to fight, and guys volunteered and signed up and joined. I mean, so if it happens, you have to decide at that point how you want to react. I don't know that you can prepare for it.
Okay, interesting. That's not great. Well, I mean, this has been really helpful. I do work for the Department of Homeland Security, so this is just really great advice that you've been giving me to take back to the big guys. So just thank you so much, and I'll give you the tip if there is going to be the war.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Hello?
Hi, is this the Civil War Museum?
Is this the what, hon?
The Civil War Museum?
Well, this is where you would call, but it's closed now.
Oh.
They had to close it down.
The Civil War Museum is closed down?
Yep.
Why?
Well, because the rent went up and we couldn't afford the rent.
But how are we going to remember what happened during the Civil War now?
Well, that would be fine, but we didn't have enough donations to pay the rent.
Well, now we're going to have a new Civil War because there'll be no museum to remember the first one.
Right. Well, we can't afford it personally.
But
so, there's... Go ahead.
How do I learn about it? Did you used to work there?
No, my husband has been a great part of it.
Oh.
And they've been packing stuff up the past couple of days. So,
could I talk to him maybe? Because I want to talk to someone who knows about the Civil War. Do you? Maybe?
No, you would have to call back around 6 o'clock because he is mapping out a tour right now for the Both Sides tour. So,
but I thought it closed. You said it closed.
No, this is a tour, hon.
Okay.
This is a Both Sides tour.
Okay.
And he's still doing the Mosby tours also.
Well, which side tour is it? Which side?
Which what?
The side? You said it's a tour that picked one side?
Yeah, it's called the Both Sides tour.
Oh, both sides.
In other words, they're going to South Mountain this time.
I mean, are both sides the same?
Stop at a few places.
Okay, because I'm not sure which side to pick, actually, myself.
I know. When it's 6 o'clock, you can talk to him all about it.
Well, because, you see, I'm French. I'm a French immigrant, and I'm getting ready for, maybe a new Civil War, and I'm not sure which side I'm supposed to pick. So I was wondering if you had an idea of which way I should go, because I don't know what I'm expected to do here.
Are you a Southerner?
Well, I'm in New York, but I am French, so I feel like I have a connection to the South.
Okay. Well, I was from New Jersey, and now I have a connection to the South.
So you picked your side?
Yes, I did.
So what are we supposed to do? Should I join you? Isn't it the bad side?
Well, you can. You can join the Mosby Historical Society, and we have 150 members, and we're still growing. And
is this going to help for the upcoming Civil War? Like, are we going to just start, getting ready for that? Is it like a training happening?
I don't know how to answer that. You would have to talk to him about that. Because I really don't know.
Your husband knows about the Futures War.
So,
does your husband know?
Well, my husband knows a lot about Mosby.
Okay.
And the Civil War. So, like I said, if you call back at 6, he should be able to answer pretty much any question you have.
Is the Civil War happening right now? Is your husband going to be a general or something?
No.
Okay, I'm just confused. No. Okay, so I'll call back around 6. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That would be great.
Thank you.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm a French immigrant in the U.S. and I feel like there might be a new Civil War that might happen. So I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about kind of what to do based on your expertise.
What we deal with will be, historical events that kind of transpired here. I don't know how helpful I'll quite be as far as, future planning or anything like that.
Oh, that's fine, but could you just tell me more about, like, as an immigrant, like, did immigrants usually have to pick sides?
I don't know if it was quite like that. It was more so, especially during that time, it was going to be essentially wherever you were regionally, being that, many of the northern states were a hub for many immigrants. You would see a lot more of those immigrants fill in the numbers of a union ranks, only because of the high number that you would find in many northern cities like Boston, Massachusetts, Philadelphia, and things like that.
Oh, right. Yeah. Do you think there's a way I can kind of buy my way out of this? Did people do that?
I mean, again, I think that I think it'd be hard to kind of gauge, anything going forward based off what was already happened, just because of the time removed.
Mm-hmm.
With that, it'd be a hard press for me to be able to kind of give you a good answer on that. I know historically it would have been much, much different than what we're looking at now with the military organization and logistical side of our military, as opposed to what it was historically, where we didn't have a standing army historically. We would have less than 10,000 active soldiers, whereas now we're upwards of 500,000, close to 1 million. So it'd be a much different outlook on things like that. I don't know if it's per se or anything as far as forced conscription or drafting or anything like that. That'd probably be something I'd be least worried about at this moment.
Right, because I think I would just avoid the draft.
Right. But again, I think it'd be hard pressed for you to get something off like that now due to, one, our standing military and the fact that, the United States is so populated as opposed to how it was historically.
Right. Do you think, do you think the next civil war will be the North against the South again?
Again, it's kind of hard for me to gauge, again, as far as, an actual quote-unquote civil war as opposing sides. It was so divided historically just due to the massive differences you had in demographics, as far as the people who made up the South were extremely different than the people who made up the North, as far as mindset, jobs, family history, and things of that nature, whereas nowadays it's much more integrated. So it isn't more so as if, you'll have regional differences, as everything will be more integrated and it will kind of mesh a lot more than it did historically. Based on the disadvantages of being able to travel, a lot of people would spend their entire lives in their one hometown. So the world around them seemed much smaller than the world does today.
Okay. The thing is, I don't really know how to use a musket. Is there any training for using muskets? Because I know jujitsu. Maybe that would be good.
Yeah, I doubt that nobody really uses any muskets outside of connoisseurs of history, and we use them here as part of the historical counterpart to our time period in which we're discussing.
So you could train me, perhaps, with the musket? Could you train me with the musket?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. What was that?
Could you train me for the musket? How to use the musket?
You?
Could you train me? Like, I'm looking for some training on how to, injure someone with a musket.
I'm sorry, I get really bad reception out here at the fort. Can you repeat that one more time?
Do you do any training? Could you teach?
Training? Nothing like that, unfortunately. We do fire off our muskets and kind of demonstrate how they would have been used historically.
That'd be great.
There's no modern military in the entire world that is using a musket.
Okay, but, it might come back because, history repeats itself, as you know. I'm just a little afraid if I pick sides, I don't want to get canceled afterwards if I pick the wrong one. So, right.
I don't think there's any point right now where there's a sense of sides per se as it is, kind of the ideological belief that one person may hold. But again, they're two sides of the same coin in a sense.
I don't want to be the new Robert E. Lee.
Right.
So what should I do, really?
The biggest thing is just, educate yourself, do readings on the historical readings and things like that to get a better understanding of, really what happened, because again, it's apples to oranges trying to compare, anything that happened historically to really anything that's going on now, because of the vast differences in, our daily lives, advancements in technology, society, industry, worldwide, and things like that.
Right. Well, I do spend a lot of time on Twitter, so maybe that counts.
Maybe, but I guess I did have some guests just come in, so unfortunately I have to let you go.
Okay, well, I really appreciate it, and I consider you my teacher, just so you know. You're my mentor.
Thank you kindly.
Yes, thank you, mentor.
Good afternoon, Regimental Quartermaster Bill speaking.
Hi, I was looking for some information about the Civil War.
Okay.
Could you, I guess basically I'm worried that Civil War 2 is happening soon, so I was wondering, what the red flags are for when a war might break out, what led up to the first Civil War?
It's a very complicated
complicated issue, and I highly recommend history books.
Okay, I was just trying to talk to an expert about it.
Your best bet there is to contact the Park Service,
The Park
the
Service?
National Park Service. Yes.
The national park? Do you think that the next Civil War might happen in a national park?
The next Civil War? What are you talking about?
Doesn't it seem like another Civil War is about to happen?
We supply Civil War reenactors from 1861 to 1865.
Right, so I'm wondering if they're starting to prepare to reenact the next Civil War? Like
I don't know what you're talking about.
2025 to 2030?
I don't know anything about that.
Doesn't it seem like there's a lot of tension in the country right now?
I don't know. I'm not getting into that. Bye.
Perryville Battlefield, Tim speaking. How can I help you?
Hi. I'm looking for some information about how the battle on your field got started.
How it got started?
Yeah.
You mean?
Like what are the
Well-
what are the signs that a civil war is about to happen?
Well, the Confederate Army was interested in taking over the state of Kentucky, so they sent Braxton Bragg into the western part of the state and Kirby Smith over in the central part of the state. And Don Carlos Buell, the Union, he was here trying to protect Kentucky, and there was also a drought going on, so they ended up in this area because of water.
Okay, so basically some people wanted to capture part of the state.
The Confederates wanted Kentucky, yes.
So that actually happened kind of recently, right? In Washington, both state and DC actually. So I think those are signs.
I'm sorry now.
I'm trying to look for signs that the next Civil War is happening, and I feel like I see them. Do you see them?
No, I don't.
You don't think a Civil War 2 is going to happen?
No, I don't know. I'm just referring what happened out here in 1862.
Okay, so in 1862, the Confederates wanted to take over Kentucky,
Yes.
and then recently people wanted to take over Seattle. Right?
I'm not sure what you wanted me to say. That's what's on the news, that they did take over Seattle, but I don't know what you're asking.
And the capital. So it seems like there are signs that people want to take over some states, and so maybe that means a civil war is going to happen.
I have no idea.
If time is a flat circle and history repeats itself.
I don't know that either.
Nietzsche's eternal recurrence.
I'm sorry.
How do I prepare for the next civil war?
I don't know how to answer that one either.
Okay, how did people prepare for the other civil war? Did they start learning karate?
I don't think they learned karate in the Civil War. I'd be glad to talk to you about the battle here in Perryville, ma'am. Other than that, I don't know what you're asking.
That would be great. Please talk about that one.
Oh, hang on just a second, all right?
Okay.
Hey, this is Brian. Can I help you?
Hi, I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about how people prepared for the Civil War.
Well, a lot of them thought this war was only going to last about 3 months when it first broke out. So a lot of them didn't even prepare for it. Both sides were really not prepared for it at all.
So you think I should try to stock up on cannons and stuff? Did women have to fight in the Civil War?
No, It was it was basically a men's war. Women were not even allowed really to be on the battlefield at all. I know you did have some women that did dress up as soldiers and went out on the field, but if they were discovered, they were automatically booted out. There were about between 5,000 to 10,000 women that served as nurses during the Civil War, though.
Wow, that's not PC. Right? I think women should have been able.
That's the way conditions were back then.
Okay. Do you think that Twitter is a major driver of potential war in this country?
I cannot answer that. You'll have to call Frankfurt. We don't have an opinion on that.
Frankfurt would know? That was tough.
It was tough, but I think there was some interesting moments. What did you learn?
Well, I learned there are very reasonable people in this country.
I mean, I don't think they're reasonable. I think they're just afraid of losing their jobs. We asked them to do something that would compromise their ability to...
No, we had so many people who gave thoughtful, reasoned responses about how the media is actually driving polarization that doesn't actually exist in a massive way that would lead to something like a civil war.
Right. And I guess all the ones who didn't say that, we must assume they actually probably felt the opposite, because instead of saying anything, they just said, I'm not going to comment.
That's true. So there were some people who probably have problematic opinions.
And those are the ones you probably feel like they would have been great if they were just less...
If they would have been great, we should have let them know. We're trying to make a video here.
Maybe we should have... We never tried that. We never said that. That should be like a something, we're just trying to make a video here.
You think so? Maybe some people...
Give us a break. We're just trying to make a video.
Maybe some people would want their opinion heard broadcasted.
Did you... I had one lady that I thought was interesting. She was from the South, and she seemed to be on the... Well, she does tours that are called Both Sides Tour, which actually means that you're probably on the bad side. If you say both sides...
Well, and she told you that she was on the side of the South, which is crazy. But we pulled still, even her, who's willing to say she's on the side of the South. That's all we got.
We didn't actually discuss where we would have been. You would have been on which side?
Do you even know which side is which?
What do you mean?
You started out by saying you know nothing about the Civil War.
Well, I assume I know less than you guys. You have this American education.
But you had to pass a test to become a citizen, no?
I'm not a citizen.
To get a...
I'm on my way. I know that in the end we're doing these phone calls because we want to make people... We want to change things. Isn't that the ultimate goal?
Why else would you do a prank call?
Right.
If not to change the world fundamentally.
Obviously it's the lofty goal, but it is the ultimate end goal.
Well, I feel the end goal is to show that it's possible to connect with people you don't know, which is the cure for civil war, right?
You're talking about new subscribers.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I know this sounds strange, but I was wondering if you could maybe not serve the Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp to anyone today.
What did you say?
I'm just wondering if you could not serve the Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp to anybody today. I have prophetic dreams. All my dreams have come true. And if you serve that today, the Civil War will happen. It's just... Don't laugh. Don't laugh. If all of my dreams come true, and the Civil War is going to happen if you serve the Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp today.
I'll make sure to tell them don't serve the Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp.
Hey, hello. Hey, I'm so sorry. That was my friend. She's a little mentally off. So don't pay attention to what she said. I'm really sorry. Yeah, but lady, make sure you don't serve the triple chocolate meltdown, because that's the one that's definitely going to trigger a huge civil war. Please, the chicken is fine, but...
You got it.
Thank you so much. Okay, at least he had a good time.
Thank you for calling John Stop News for Highway 78. This is Marceline. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm so sorry. I know this sounds really strange, but I was wondering if it's possible to avoid serving the Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp to anyone today.
What do you mean?
I have prophetic dreams. All my dreams come true usually, and I dreamed that if you serve that dish, the Civil War will break out. I know it sounds weird.
No, unfortunately we can't do that. Sorry.
Okay. It's
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
I'm so sorry. That was my friend. She's a little off. I'm sorry about that. I apologize.
Oh, it's fine. No problem.
Yeah, it's not the chicken that's going to trigger the civil war. It's the triple chocolate meltdown. So just make sure that you don't serve that, and everything will be okay.
I'm afraid that's our most popular option, unfortunately.
I know that's why you have to avoid it so badly, because that's how it's going to happen. You know, the triple chocolate meltdown is very tempting, of course.
Well, yeah, I think if we stop serving it, that would probably cause it, in my opinion. You know, statistically speaking.
You think the civil war would happen if you stop serving the triple chocolate meltdown?
Well, I mean, I feel like it's more likely if we do it that way than if we don't do it at all, you know?
You know,
All right,
sometimes...
this has been fun, but I do actually have to get back to work. Talk to you later, man.
Bye-bye.
Applebee's indicators are boosting up here.
Hello, I'm calling, this is going to sound strange, but I was wondering if you could not serve the Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp today.
Why would that be?
Well, I usually have prophetic dreams. My dreams come true, and I had this dream this morning that if you served the Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp, it would trigger the civil war. So I'm just terrified that that's going to happen. So I'm just asking you, please do not serve the Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it sounded like you were hanging up.
it was like that was also interesting. I never had someone just say, "Okay, no problem," which is such a natural thing to do when you're talking to someone crazy. But that was the first time.
Well, we've learned that no one thinks a civil war is going to happen, and even if it was going to happen, they had no interest in stopping it.
So passivity,
Passivity,
cowardice, right?
cowardice,
Hanging up on us.
lethargy.
Threats too. Threats to caller ID. Someone was like, we can find you."
But and then what? And then what?
Thank you for checking out the episode.
And please subscribe to our YouTube and check out Patreon for extra content.